They kind of describe it as being like a giant slip and slide. So the water would go sheet down the road and over the road and feed right into the wetlands, which are your, nature's sponge. It absorbs everything and it feeds the wetland, which feeds the insects and thus the frogs and everything up the food chain. So it really, once you restore that hydrology, you get everything, the whole system start working again.
Is that part of Moray Point where they pulled out the tires?
It is. The tires were surrounding, further north of the Moray Point Road, there used to be horse stables, and locals again know that. There are a couple of horse stables, and that was surrounded by tires, and actually was a go-kart courser as well. I think actually there was some sort of combination of that. I could be wrong about that. Locals will find me wrong, but someone told me they used to race little go-karts down there. Oh, okay. Whatever the reason, however they got there, a series of tires were along the edge of it, and groups, volunteers came in to remove those after we made sure they weren't habitat anymore. Volunteers removed those. Volunteers have done virtually all the planting work out there. They've done a lot of get dirty kind of work. It's been great. I mean, there's a conservancy and there's a park service, but the volunteers have done the bulk of all the work out there. And so, just to make sure we don't forget to say, we want to make sure we thank all the volunteers from Pacifica and San Mateo County and beyond who came out to do all the work.
Right, I think it was just more than Pacificans that I wanted to kind of point that out, because I knew that had happened. And I know that like our local Cub Scout came and planted. Can you tell us a little bit about the planting?
Well, we have a really strong Pacifica connection with the planting, because the plants are grown at the Oceana Native Plant Nursery, and that is at Oceana High School in Pacifica. So on Wednesdays after school, the high school students, many of them will go and help propagate the plants. They collect the seed from Moray Point, and they grow the plants, transplant them, and get them all ready at the nursery there at Oceana. And then many of them are also involved in the planting. And we have groups from all over the place, from SI College Prep, from Oracle, from all different types of groups, corporations, homeschooled kids. It's been a wonderful effort, and it's part of the education too, because we're not just putting buckets in people's hands and saying, okay, go stick this in the ground, but we're explaining how these wetlands are so vital to these healthy ecosystems, these great habitats. And so we talk about that food chain and how they're planting and they're feeling good about that, but they're really doing something to protect two very rare and endangered species that are, you just don't have that many of them left in the world, and they're really doing a great job of it.
Why the boardwalk? That would be something I'm sure I was wondering about that too. And
they're calling it an elevated trail, not a boardwalk.
Elevated trail, okay.
For a whole host of reasons. But the idea was that, once again, locals know, if you walk down Moray Point Road during much of the year, you're going to get puddles there. And locals also know there were frogs in there once in a while. Sometimes there were California red-legged frogs, sometimes other kinds of frogs. The idea behind regrading it was to, again, restore that water flow, but that makes the road slant a little bit. And so they wanted to have a trail that went over that, so that people could walk and have a pleasant experience walking out to the beach without stepping into ponds, without trashing their shoes. And also, if you check it out, the boardwalk is great, or the elevated trail is great, because there's sections where you can look down below it and you can actually potentially see frogs going from one pond to the other, or snakes even going from one pond to the other. So the idea was to make it a safe, year-round experience for people to go visit, also to make it accessible for people with disabilities.
And they actually made the elevated trail with different surfaces, so you get kind of the tactile clues as you're walking, so you'll know that you're now on the earth part of it versus the graded part versus the wood part. So it kind of gives you a clue where you're at too, if you're challenged that way with your vision. One of the things that we have found so important with these major projects is to have a really good communications, a really good relationship with your neighbors. So we try to be good neighbors with the park, and vice versa. It gives us a lot of good information too, and feedback. So what we've done with this project is not only have meetings over at the Moose Lodge and neighbor meetings and flyers and information going out, but actually going door to door and letting the neighbors know about the project. Among
many things, I should say, the Conservancy did very well was having a person on site who was articulate and knowledgeable about the project so they could deal with people's questions right away. It's been really valuable. Like, we've found out that some of the neighbors were really concerned seeing all the equipment and the disturbance, that we were actually harming the snakes and the frogs in the middle of all our big construction work. So we addressed that by explaining the whole process of critter care. Anytime any work is done, especially with an endangered species, you have to check thoroughly over every inch of ground before a shovel or anything goes into it. And the San Francisco garter snake likes to hang out in the burrows of the gophers and voles and moles out there. So they actually, the biological monitors would go out and excavate and go carefully pick out every burrow to make sure that there wasn't a snake. And they would have to move those creatures out of that zone. The other thing they did is put exclusion fencing up. So once they cleared an area out of any creatures, they put a fence up so that they could not get out, could not go back in. And they also had in those fences special funnels that in case there was some kind of critter there at night or whatever, that it could escape out, like a little escape hatch for them. The main impetus for that elevated trail was actually the protection of the species. I mean, they found while working out there that most of the sightings of the San Francisco garter snake were along the road, and that road is it's just like death for them because they can be easily sighted from the air by a hawk, by a predator, also bikers or anyone going by. So they're very exposed right there, and that's where the snake was being seen most often, were alongside that road. So that was the main thing, was to protect those creatures. Having dry feet was kind of a nice little side outcome of the whole process. It kind of marks the duality of the whole Park Service thing, where we try to
accommodate.
Yeah, we're supposed to conserve the resources first, but to allow visitors to enjoy it. And that project nicely coordinated both of them.
My name is Barth Campbell. I'm the president of Campbell Grading Incorporated, and our company provides service to do trail construction, habitat restoration, and watershed restoration. This is our third year of working down here at Maury Point. We started our phases up on the ridge doing road to trail conversions to eliminate erosion coming down into the wetlands and enhance the habitat for the San Francisco garter snake and the red-legged frog. This year we're fortunate enough to be a part of the construction force to construct the elevated boardwalk. The past 3 years, the different stages of our participation has really transformed it into a wonderful habitat. We've unearthed many things here at Maury Point, including 200 yards of steel that we've taken to recycle, 300 or 400 cubic yards of concrete we've taken to recycle, and we found our lucky horseshoe not far behind me. The beams have just been set on the piers. Last Friday we poured the concrete support piers for the elevated trail, and today they finished setting the big timber beams which will support the redwood decking. It's about 200 feet long. We'll have all of that decking on by the end of next week. After that we're going to start the last section of about 150 feet long, and those support beams will be bolted in on top of the piers, and then the decking will follow on that. Integrated in the decking to give the visitor a great opportunity to look underneath at the middle pond when it's full is a corrugated, graded fiberglass walking tread that as you're walking on it, you'll actually look through it and look down into the pond and see activities such as the frogs and tadpoles. Once the pond's full and we have our regular winter and we have storm events, it's quite a lot of water overflows from that south pond into the middle pond. So it's going to be a super great place to hang out and see a lot of action through the winter months. And then in the spring and summer, all of the frogs and everything start appearing. We've really done great efforts into changing this land base over into a natural environment. And I look forward to the people of Pacifica to enjoy it and become part of a stewardship to maintain it as such a wonderful reformed park.